And we're live. It's your boy Fatface Fabio, the Dusty Dynamo, here with the Nashville, the Tennessee kid, young Ron Stoppable, if you will. I guess we'll call this the first episode of Wash Sports Recaps. I'm a little sorry if you're hearing me right now. I've been battling a cold all week, which is why we're not doing an episode of the regular podcast in the studio. But with everything going on, I figured me and Josh would just take a moment to speak on it. How you doing today, Josh?
I'm good, bro. I'm happy we got this StreamYard thing figured out. Finally doing remote podcasting, the next step in our journey, JP25 Media. So I'm happy we're doing it, bro.
Yeah, I need some better lighting. I'm looking like a Disney father in here right now with this afro and everything. But
a lot of character and shit.
A lot of character and stuff. But let's get this started with the most important trade of the whole deadline. Jakob Poeltl to the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah, dude, that's the one that got the people talking. Goes back to where he was originally, right? Was he originally from the Raptors? If I'm not wrong.
I don't know. You know, I know we have to get to the more important things, but can we acknowledge how many guys were sent back to where they were from?
Well, dude, I mean, obviously D'Angelo Russell's the one that I care about most because I'm a Laker fan. I love it. I love when guys go back to get a second chance. Iggy Azalea completely screwed the team the first time around, and D'Angelo Russell didn't help himself out.
You know what's funny? We will focus. I promise you, here, folks. But this is still a Young on the Watch production, so we are going to go on a tangent to a certain degree. But I do believe it's kind of like what we've been talking about on the regular pod for a while. Like D'Angelo Russell was the precursor to us always having to have our phone in our hands. And I think like no one took any advice. We didn't like imagine how many things have happened in our lifetime since he chose not to keep his phone out of his hand, and how many bad things have happened to people because people just had their phone in their hand.
You're right. I mean, look at Twitter alone. People put stuff out on Twitter all the time. We're talking about the NBA, obviously, but did you see the Micah Parsons tweet today? Another example of a guy that shouldn't be on his phone. Do you see that?
Was it the "I can't go out in public anymore" thing?
It's like, yes. It's like, bro, you're on the Dallas Cowboys. You're the best player on the team. What did you think was going to happen? You know, I don't get that.
I'll say this. I don't think you're ever not allowed to want to be a regular person.
Yeah.
I don't think your occupation should dictate the way you feel. Now, should you be aware of your reality? Of course. But I don't think that he should, his feelings are invalidated just because he feels that way. Because also, if he did all this and he was on the Jacksonville Jaguars, we wouldn't have nearly as many eyes on it.
It's true, but I feel like it comes with the territory. Like, the better you get, the more attention you're going to get, especially if you're on America's team, even though they dub themselves America's team. I don't know. It's just I hate when guys complain about being too popular. Oh, poor guy. You know,
I'm leaving you alone with that one. But back to going back to your regular team, I thought it was very telling about the amount of guys who got sent back to where they were from. Like Spencer Dinwiddie having to go to the Nets after all that. John Wall going back to the Rockets. Mm-hmm. Who's in charge of these front offices? This is very reminiscent of Tim Hardaway Jr. getting shipped to the Atlanta Hawks just to get a max deal again from the Knicks.
It's true, dude. You missed one of the big ones too in there. Eric Gordon back to the Clippers. That's
that is true. I'm not gonna lie, and obviously a bigger trades to get to, but I think the Clippers are a good place to start. I had the Clippers as my winner of the trade deadline, honestly, until I found out they shipped off Reggie Jackson.
Why, big Reggie Jackson guy?
No, it just in my head it made sense though. It was get rid of John Wall, get shooting, get Mason Plumlee, and then you got size to go along with the shooting. You got the only two things you really need. And then when I found out they got rid of a second ball handler, it kind of threw me off. Well, let's say playing on in the playoffs, which can definitely happen. PG runs the one, which we've seen at times. Him and Kawhi will bring up the ball. They don't necessarily have an offense they need to initiate because it's really just the two of them going back and forth with the other guys being extras. But yeah, it just kind of threw me off. I was just like, where are we going with this? Especially with the injury history they have, them just choosing to ship off another ball handler really threw me off.
Well, they said the Clippers' plan is to have Russell Westbrook. Well, they said the Utah Jazz are going to waive him. They're trying to do the Oklahoma City Thunder thing, get a bunch of draft picks because they know that Salt Lake City is not a free agent destination. They said the Clippers are planning to sign Russell Westbrook once he gets waived by the Jazz. That's why they think that's their next ball handler.
Then why trade for Eric Gordon?
I just think
I know he's a shooter, but can you play them at the same time?
They've done it before when they're on the Rockets. Not saying it worked, but they played on the same team. You got Russell Westbrook. If that happens, he's teaming up with Paul George, Eric Gordon. Seems like he has teammates all over the league now. But I think the Clippers, top to bottom, probably got the best roster in the league.
I think so too. I think they made the most important move. But let's acknowledge that Russell Westbrook, Eric Gordon thing was 5 years and 50 pounds on my face ago. Let's just make this clear. That was a very, very long time ago, man. But yeah, I don't know. The Clippers move, I was a big fan when I heard it this morning. When I found out who they got, and then when I found out who they gave up, I heard Reggie Jackson's also a candidate for the buyouts. You know, a lot of teams that got trade exceptions and things like that. This is going to be a very big factor for them. I heard Serge Ibaka got bought out earlier about an hour ago. So I think it's going to be very interesting. I think tomorrow or over the next week will be just as interesting as the last 2 hours have been, to be honest with you. But I mean, with that being said, though, we got to go to the elephant in the room. Of course, I want to get to my Dallas Mavericks, but we got to talk about the KD situation. I don't. If I'm the Suns, I think the Suns lost. I'm going to be 100% honest with you.
Dude, I couldn't agree more. I think me and you are the only two people in the whole world that think this. But I agree. I think they gave up too much for what they're getting in return. A guy that, I mean, he's a great player, but dude, you want depth if you're going to win, right? Isn't that the thing we've seen in the years past? You got to have a good bench, and they got rid of that.
Well, not just a bench. They were already shorthanded. Jay Crowder didn't want to be there. We saw he got shipped off to the Bucks from this trade. I was very sad about that. I was hoping he was going to be a buyout candidate, but I mean, the Nets were able to at least do one thing productive this week, and they was able to ship off Jay Crowder because we know he wasn't going to play for them either. And then now I feel like the biggest glaring issue is DeAndre Ayton felt like he wasn't a factor, and now you bring in Kevin Durant. And you're stuck contractually with Ayton for another 3 years. You think he's going to be even happier with Kevin Durant there?
No. And I was thinking the thing that made the most sense, but they wouldn't do it because their rivals would be James Wiseman, DeAndre Ayton, some kind of trade package deal to get two guys who are upset on different teams. But, you know, the Warriors and the Suns obviously aren't going to trade with each other. I agree with you. I thought DeAndre Ayton was going to be a sure lock of a guy that was going to get shipped at the trade deadline. I don't understand it. You're exactly right. If you're pissed off before Kevin Durant gets there, I mean, you're going to be just extra mad now. You're never going to see the ball.
And maybe they know something we don't know. I mean, he also has a problem with the coach and everything like that, and that's a visible problem. I mean, it's not Dwayne Dedman throwing one of those Neurotech things on the court in the middle of a halftime, but I mean, it's a clear problem that someone wants to get thrown out. Also, you know, this side note. This is crazy about the NBA. You know how scary it must be to have this grunted 7-foot man with you. Like if you're like a GM of a team, and like Dwayne Dedman just comes in screaming that he wants to trade, I'd be terrified, bro. Just got some 7-foot man just screaming in your face about like send me to Minnesota. Like him just being mad like that is the craziest thing I've ever heard before in my life. But the Suns thing, it does kind of help them in the future. I just look back to, and you know, we're going to transition to my team obviously, but like that Game 7 versus the Mavs, I feel like the Suns were never the same after that. They were never complete. I mean, you could argue it's the reason why Jay Crowder didn't want to come back, but when you look at it, the Kevin Durant thing helps the Kevin Durant thing only helps if you don't acknowledge how far off the ledge Chris Paul has fallen in the last 6 months. Because it's really not a big three like they think it is. Now, if you were to trade Chris Paul in this trade, if you got rid of Chris Paul and you were allowed Devin Booker to run the one, and then maybe you made a move for Reggie Jackson or something, I would like this trade a lot more. And I know I'm a Chris Paul hater per se, but I just don't think his leadership is as valuable when he can only play 8 playoff games a year. And you think, and your destiny is the finals. If that's what your goal is. And if you can't get there because he's banged up, I mean, what purpose does he serve? But who's their backup? You're going to have Alfred Payton starting?
No. Do you think Chris Paul and Kevin Durant mesh? Because in my head, I feel like those two guys would be the two most compatible players in the league, the way their styles of the game are.
See, here's the thing, though. I feel like, you know, and I know I can't really speak because we just traded for the third most over-dribblingest player in the history of the NBA, Kyrie Irving. Chris Paul loves to over dribble. He's the first person to ever make me use the term of selfish assist, where I've been dribbling until there's 5 seconds left in the shot clock, and I'll just throw it to you and hope you score. Kevin Durant can subside that. Like, he can score within those 5 seconds. It's not a big deal to him. He can score from anywhere. So I don't think it's going to bother him. I think we've seen KD take a backseat. I mean, Clay, Steph, Kyrie, James, Russell. I think he's more than shown that he doesn't mind being a second option, even a third option on nights, which is kind of crazy for someone who might be the most offensively gifted player of all time to say. But I don't think he's going to be the issue. Now, personality-wise, I think it's going to need to be Chris Paul and Devin Booker kind of looking at him like D-Wade and being like, this is your team. Like, because I don't think it works if they still think it's Devin Booker and Chris Paul's team.
I agree. I think Devin Booker's shown he's a great player, but he can't be the best player on the team that wins the championship. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, he has dog in him. It's just we have to check what breed it is. That's the thing. Like, no one ever talks about that. Everyone says they got that dog, but they don't talk about the breed of dog that is in you. You know, some people are pit bulls, some people are Yorkies. They're both dogs. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Do you buy into the whole Kyrie Irving's number one trade destination was the Suns, and that hit now that KD's on the Suns, it just builds into the beef that they have? I don't even know if they have beef though, or if that's just something the media is making up.
I don't think they have any beef. I'll be 100% honest.
I don't think so either. I don't think they
I think what people say about Kyrie, I stopped believing their personal attacks when he admitted his wrongs with LeBron. Because I think when you look at his issue with the LeBron thing, I'll be one of the first people to say this. Kyrie did the same thing Kobe Bryant did, except he left instead of Shaq leaving. And he just happened to not win. If Kobe ships off Shaq and the Lakers never win again, he looks just as selfish. You know what I mean? And I know no one wants to admit it, RIP to the Bean, but it's the truth. Like, narratives were swirled. He got a bad team right afterwards. You know what I mean? And everyone pointed fingers. The first thing he said in the press conference is when they won the fifth was, I got one more than Shaq. And I feel like that's Kyrie saying. He realized, he acknowledged that he wanted something that I don't think he was fully aware of what that meant to have. And I also just don't think he liked Boston all that much. I'm going to throw this one out here. Oh, my God. A black professional athlete doesn't like playing in Boston. I can't believe it. Someone called Bill Simmons.
Yeah, they said Robert Parrish. He said every day he went to the arena, even though he's on the Boston Celtics for 100 years, somebody called him the N-word. And he was freaking Robert Parrish. Dude was like one of the best players on one of the best teams. Yeah.
But they treated Bill Russell like Rodney King. Like, what do we think is going to happen down there? Like, no, not literally. Not literally. Your face. You got so scared right now. That was the appropriate face to have for that comment, though. But yeah. I don't think they have any beef. I think they're just two basketball guys. And sometimes like you can know, like, we've played basketball our lives. You can play fives with your boy, and that doesn't mean you like playing with him. Like, you can know your friend's good. That doesn't mean you enjoy playing with him. And it's nothing detrimental to. No, it's nothing detrimental to someone's game. I will say this though. So I watched the immaculate debut he had last night against the Clippers with my Dallas Mavericks, and I'm very excited for this Lucas situation, extremely. And I think I'm excited because you can see it. Even without Luka on the court, defensively we are going to be horrible. I'm going to say it. Like I might be able to go to Dallas and get 6 minutes right now. I'm gonna let you know right now. But the ability to just go, like, he was able to just go. Oh,
okay. We're bringing in our expert from Indiana to talk about this.
What's up?
I don't think Kyrie going to the Mavs makes him a championship contender. That's just another guy that wants the ball in his hands, and I don't think Luka will mesh with Kyrie. I just don't see it working.
I think, like I was saying, I watched last night's game, and the biggest thing that I saw was the Mavs, being a homer. The Mavs are moving. We are the slowest paced team in basketball. We are running like the Indiana Pacers in 2011 right now. It is George Hill walking up the ball type pace. But what the difference was, you get a steal at the top of the key, the Mavs are gone. Because the difference is when we got rid of Spencer Dinwiddie and we got rid of Dorian Finney-Smith, Josh Green is going to have to play more. Jaden Hardy is going to have to play more. Reggie Bullock is more of a guy, even though he shoots threes, he's willing to run and finish in the lane if he has to. And I saw we had a lot of turnovers last night. But our defense, we did kind of pressure a little bit because I think we knew that if we don't pressure the ball, we are going to get cooked on this perimeter. And we went. Like, we had more – I would argue we had more fast break points in the 2 games we haven't had with Luka when Dorian and Spencer get traded and last night Kyrie than we've had all season. We might have had 36 fast break points, and I don't think you can put a 5-game stretch together all year that we had 36 fast break points. Every time Luka gets the ball, he slows it down. Spencer Dinwiddie – slows it down. Kyrie Irving is willing to go because he has the ability to finish in the lane like no one else. And it was amazing to watch. It was almost a tear to my eye. I thought JJ Barea was out
there. Mario, what do you think? You think the Mavs are a championship contender?
So the thing about the Mavs, first off, it is a massive improvement. I mean, Kyrie Irving's one of the most talented players in the NBA, bar none. He has one of the best handles. He's one of the best offensive players. That's without discussion. And the thing that worries me is, like, when's Kyrie gonna be Kyrie? When is he gonna, like, do something crazy or come something out of nowhere that screws up the team? And the other thing I worry about that too is what are they gonna do defensively, right? Like, Kyrie's not that good of a defender. Luka doesn't really play that strong defense because he does everything on the other side of the floor. So that worries me as the Mavs. And now that you have to face the Suns, who, you know, that's Booker, and that's Paul that you have to face on that defensive side that you have to guard, and that's Durant as well. And I think you kind of lost a little of your defense in that trade. And the other thing too is I'm not a fan of Jason Kidd. Like, coaching has to come in at some point, and you gotta handle the big personalities. Like, you gotta be able to handle Kyrie and get with them on a certain basis. And I don't think there's anything in Jason Kidd's career that's like screamed out, yeah, I can handle big personalities. Like, I don't think it's anything that's like stand out yet about that. So that's what worries me about it. Now, I want them to go far because I love Luka, and I think him and Kyrie is going to be very fun to watch. But in terms of whatever Kyrie is going to do and defensively and even facing a team such as the Suns, or I even go Nuggets, there's things that worry me for the Dallas Mavericks.
That's 100% valid. I don't know. We're going to see. I was telling Josh earlier that the buyout market is going to dictate a lot for the Dallas Mavericks. Serge Ibaka's out there. Reggie Jackson's going to be out there. I think those are 2 guys who can make an immediate impact. Unfortunately, we're going to have to see, the playoff sideline guy. Theo Pinson's probably going to get waived when it comes down to it. Even though he did have 9 points in the fourth quarter the other night, that was one of the greatest.
North Carolina legend, Tar Heel legend.
Hey, he is a Carolina legend. I don't know. He's one of those guys that it doesn't make sense unless you're a Carolina guy. Like, they all love him, and I don't get it. But, I love him as a Mavs. So, It is what it is, But, yeah, no, you bring up 100% valid points. And I think it comes down to the biggest thing I think with our defense is going to be can Christian Wood play the defense he was playing before he got hurt about a week ago? He went on a 10-game stretch. I think he was averaging 2 blocks a game on that 10-game stretch. And where is Maxi Kleber's hamstring? Like, if he can get some of his legs back, because he played a great defense in the playoffs last year, put up 8 threes when Luka wasn't playing. But if it wasn't for that, I mean, everything just seemed to work last year. And I'm just afraid that, like, to your point to Jason Kidd, he has a little bit of Doc Rivers in him in the sense of the defense always starts good. And then every year he coaches a team, it just gets worse and worse and worse. And we keep calling him a defensive coach. And then the big personalities start to affect it. And it's just like, I just feel like this is just it's getting real clippery, But I want to know, what do you guys think about some of the other trades? Like, what are some what kind of blew you guys away outside of the big Kevin Durant, besides Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving?
I'll let Mario answer this one.
Well, first off, there's something that really confused me, and that was what the hell were the Denver Nuggets doing? Trading away Bones, and you sent them to LA Clippers?
That bothered me when I saw how much they asked for. And I think we had a conversation, Josh, about 2 weeks ago. Like, I would love to have Bones Highland on that Mavs team. I would have definitely given up Reggie Bullock and as many second-round picks as you wanted. And they gave him away like it was Make-A-Wish. It didn't make any sense to me.
No, it threw me for a whirl. I thought I was high. I was like, I had to read it. I'm like, dude, I can't be high at 2 p.m. today. Like, I gotta double check this.
Especially for how good he's played. Like,
Yeah, I wanted to run some names by both you guys, and you tell me which ones pop at you the most. And these might be not updated, but these are the best buyout options on the market. Okay, you got Russell Westbrook with the Jazz. You have Patrick Beverley with the Magic right now. John Wall got shipped to Houston. Danny Green with Memphis. Kevin Love with the Cavs. Nerlens Noel with the Pistons. Will Barton with the Wizards, and Terrence Ross with the Magic. Is there anybody out there that you think's undervalued? I'll go first, actually. I think Will Barton is going to be a steal. Whoever gets him, I think he's a bucket. I think a team like the Lakers that need some shooting could get him. But then again, the Lakers aren't going to contend for a championship. I think Zone nailed it, too, with the buyout market with guys that need depth. Like the Suns are a great team, like starting lineup, but do they need Serge Ibaka? They need guys like Terrence Ross that can come in off the bench and make an impact. Do you see any of these guys going to maybe the Mavericks or another contending team?
I wouldn't say they're a contending team, but I believe they're second in the East right now. And they play great defense. They're number one. They can afford a Will Barton on offense. I think if I'm the Cavs, I'm looking at Will Barton. I'm getting a little bit more shooting because let's be honest, the Karis LeVert thing is not working the way it should be working. So yeah, I would really look at that. If I'm the Mavs, even though he's got to be 55 years old, I think the Serge Ibaka has to happen. I think you need him. I don't know if you can get anything out of JaVale McGee at this point, even though he did play great the other night, and I think Kyrie will add value to JaVale. But yeah, I do like the buyout market though. I think there's a lot of teams. I still might be a John Wall believer, depending on where he lands. Ironically, his bet fit still might be the Clippers, which doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, I thought there would be a little bit more. I think the problem is the East doesn't have too many contenders
at all.
No. So it's like, really. Who do the Celtics want? Who do the Celtics and who do the Bucks want? Everybody else is just shooting for third place.
Yeah.
You didn't mention him, Josh, and maybe it's because he's the most hated man in LA, maybe in history, and that's Russell Westbrook. It's like, where the hell is he gonna go?
Oh yeah. No, that was my first one. I said he's with the Jazz now, God. But I was saying, no, you're good. I was saying before you came on that the Clippers is the team that everybody keeps saying where he's going to go. If he ends up with the Clippers, I already think they have the best roster in the NBA, and I'm not a Russell Westbrook fan, but that helps. They need another ball handler. They just got rid of John Wall. I think that makes the most sense. What do you think?
Yeah, that one makes sense. I saw one thing today saying that the Chicago Bulls were looking at him, and that makes zero sense. If we're going to do that, you might as well take the franchise and flush it down the toilet and freaking move it to Fort Wayne, Indiana or something. That's what you're fucking acting like. But my other thing is like Clippers just seems like the only spot because one, I think he's going to have an edge to him being like, I get to stay in LA. I'm going to the other team. I can kind of rub it in a little bit more. I go back with Paul George. He played well with Paul George. Him and Paul George had no problems. Were they a championship threat team? No, but they didn't have any problems. They worked well together, and it's a good restart, and there's not as much pressure playing for the Clippers as there for the Lakers. Lakers, your first take every single fucking day. Every single day, Stephen A. Smith saying your name. Every single day, Skip Bayless is saying your name, and he's screaming about, what turnover you made in the first quarter on the second play of the game. So you have all that, but the guy I'd actually really watch for right away getting picked up, Phoenix Suns picking up Danny Green. That kind of just makes sense, right? Like that's a solid defender, 3-and-D guy. They just sold one 3-D guy in Cam Johnson, which, UNC boy, huge fan of and everything he produces on the floor. So maybe Danny Green goes over there. But yeah, I think Russell Westbrook, his best chance is to go to the LA Clippers and stay far, far away from Chicago, please, at all costs.
Look here, Phoenix Suns. And I'll say this: your point makes a lot of sense. But Phoenix Suns, you have new ownership. Look at me. Look at Uncle Zoe. I promise you this: if you get Danny Green, it will be the worst mistake you have made since drafting Kendall Marshall. I promise you this. Coming off an ACL, he already has shown in the playoffs he has no legs because he's only trying to play defense. But on paper, and I'll say this: he should be fresh. He's only going to play 30 games this season, probably. But he is that, the lizard with an afro. I don't really know if that's my man I'm going with. But can we talk about the wildest thing I saw today? And it wasn't.
Yes.
It was. It had to be something. I need answers. I need answers. I need to know what's going on in the NBA. What is the value of a second round pick? Because they're just throwing them away like confetti. Gary Payton Jr. might be the greatest steal are the worst trade of all time. Like, what are they going to repackage for 5 second-round picks?
I don't get that. Yeah, I don't get that. And then I told you today, Zoe, Thomas Bryant was balling for the Lakers, and they traded him for 3 second-round picks just to turn around and get Mo Bamba, who sucks. I mean, if anybody
he
is confused about Mo Bamba's value, he sucks. So the Lakers obviously covet the picks too. So I don't know. It was interesting, the Gary Payton deal, the Josh Hart back to the Knicks thing. There's a lot of things that were interesting, I thought.
Hey, I want to say something controversial. It's okay. It wouldn't be a wash podcast if I didn't. I want to give a shout out to Black History Month because Dante DiVincenzo caught a body last night, and they said, let's go get the only black guy on our team who's that color, and let's trade back for Gary Payton Jr. We miss him. After they were like, God, it's Dante. They're like, we used to have a guy who can do this. We have another light-skinned guy who does this. Gary Payton Jr., five second-round picks. Because that was wild to me. I was like, the second Dante DiVincenzo took off, Gary Payton Jr. was already a Warrior. They had already made a difference. Like, Drew Eubanks, nah. We need the guy back. But it just because I think Josh Richardson and Devontae Graham, which I think might be the worst trade of this whole. No one's talking about. I think that's the worst trade of the whole deadline because it does nothing. Josh Richardson he's played himself out of the rotation in 2 different places. The Mavs gave up Seth Curry for him right after the bubble, and that destroyed our team without question. He was averaging 12 minutes by the end of the season, played himself out of the rotation, and we lose to Clippers in 7. And then he goes down to San Antonio. He's not really playing that much. They get rid of Jakob Poeltl. And Devontae Graham is serviceable. I would think with all the injuries that the Pelicans had, he would have played more. But maybe that was just maybe a fit thing. But if I'm not mistaken, they gave up the Spurs gave up like 4 second-round picks. I think that was the trade. It was Josh Richardson and 4 second-rounders for that. I need the answers. Like, I need to know who's in charge. Everyone's just acting like Sam Presti in July right now. It's like, I don't get it.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird things. Sadiq Bey going to the Hawks and then James Wiseman going to Detroit was interesting. I don't know what James Wiseman's value is. I thought coming out of high school, he's going to be the next, whatever you wanted to call it, another great center. He's just hurt, and then he doesn't produce at the level you think. So do you think the Pistons got any better? Do you think the Pistons even matter when they make a trade? It's like, what's the Detroit Pistons? Who gives a crap?
I think he might be an in-between-the-ears guy. I feel like he might just need to go only play basketball, like not focus on the championships or anything like that. I don't know. I've heard a lot of players say really bad things about the Pistons, but I've heard a lot of players say it was a horrible experience that taught me how to be a professional because no one's there. Like, as weird as that is, like, I watched the Spencer Dinwiddie interview, and Reggie Bullock was also there at one point. I think they were there together. And Andre Drummond's talked about it. Like, because there's no real infrastructure, you kind of have to figure it out on your own. And for a young guy, that can make or break your career, I feel like.
The thing that's worried, well, one, this sucks for me because I was, like, the most never going to give up on James Wiseman of all time. I was like, last year, I think the first day on my job, I was like, yeah, I'm telling you, James Wiseman will win most improved player the next 2 years. So we're going to have to burn that tape. But the thing, too, with Wiseman is, like, him going to Detroit, you look at Warriors, and that has a system that gets the best out of guys. You know, they got the best out of Harrison Barnes. What happened to Harrison Barnes when he left? Kind of didn't do too hot. They got the best out of Andre Iguodala. They got the best out of Gary Payton Jr., who half the people were just like, oh, that's just Gary Payton's son. They didn't really give 2 craps about like what he does on the court, or thought he was out of the league. So there's this organization that is known for getting the best out of their guys and can really develop guys really well. And Steve Kerr is a very liked coach. And the fact that he's not able to kind of progress and get better in that, and then we're sending him to Detroit. And Dwayne Casey's a fine coach of the year, and then Raptors fired him out of, you know, which was one of the most bizarre things in NBA history. But Casey's a good coach, so maybe under Casey he can get it done. But I think Wiseman, yeah, is he going to be what we thought he is? Probably not. That ship's probably sailed. But if he goes to a system like the Pistons and Casey can do something with them, that gives me a little hope. Or I would even say the Celtics would kind of do something good with them, going, hey, we're going to put you in this role where not a lot of pressure's on you. He needs a restart. He needs, I think, a confidence builder. And like you said, maybe a battle between the ears to start winning that a little bit. There's a lot of talent there. And that guy's fucking young, man. I mean, that guy's really, really young, and you can still be something. But it sucks that the Warriors weren't able to really jump on the talent and everything that he could be.
I think he does better with Detroit. Detroit had Christian Wood kind of start his career there, where he started playing really well, and then Andre Drummond fell off when he left Detroit too. I think James Wiseman is going to do. They do good with young centers. Weirdly, the Detroit Pistons. All right, here's my last question before we end this. Hold on. What were you going to say?
I was going to say they have about 40 centers at this point. But one thing, I want to throw out one thing right before your last question. I'll make it real quick. How many times are the Atlanta Hawks going to try to trade for this guy? They had Cam Reddish, they had Kevin Knox, now Sadiq Bey. It's all the same person. Am I lying?
No, you're right.
It's the same guy. Figure it out.
Okay, so that was my question I was going to end with right there. Was Cam Reddish gets sent to Portland, correct, in the Josh Hart trade? Mm. He's kind of like the same thing as James Wiseman. Like, when is this guy going to go off? Because you see Cam Reddish at Duke, and he was good at Duke, but he wasn't like Cam Reddish in high school great. Do you think he averages like more than 15 points with the Trailblazers? Like, I cannot figure out Cam Reddish for anything.
We talked about having to burn things. When Cam Reddish got traded to the Hawks, or traded to the Knicks, excuse me, I tweeted he's going to be what Michael Beasley was supposed to be. Because if you look at the guys in that age group, and they always say, Michael Beasley, the famous phrase is, your favorite hooper is Michael Beasley. Like, everyone who's like in that age group is talking about, they have been dogged by Michael Beasley. Everyone in that age group, you talk to the Anthony Edwards, have been dogged by Cam Reddish. And he's just got to find somewhere where he can just be himself. Damian Lillard has something about him that allows young guys. I never thought Anthony Simons was going to be this good by any stretch of the imagination. I didn't think CJ McCollum was going to be this good. So I really hope it works for him. Because if it doesn't, that guy is like 6'7" in between with that body type that's actually positionless, which is weird because we play positionless basketball nowadays. But specifically that type of guy, I feel like the NBA is not going to trust him anymore. Like there's a long list of these type of super athletic, kind of buff, dudes who can shoot but rebound and then just sit as the number 9 guy on your bench. And I don't know why. I can't figure it out. But they all have the same exact game.
I kind of blame Tibbs. And that hurts.
And if all else fails, blame Tom Thibodeau. I'm always with that.
Yeah. Literally. I mean, I love Tibbs. Being a Chicago sports fan, loved his time at the Bulls, but I told this to a friend today, he's about a 3-year max coach. Because in that 3 years, he's going to take everything out of your players. And the thing I have a problem with Thibodeau, he's doing this Obi Toppin right now, and it's infuriating to me. If the player does not fit the system, he's just out. He's just out. Like, that's what Tibbs does. He's just out. And it's like, hey, I know that every coach has a system, right? And you believe in your system, but pivot. Pivot to talents. Pivot to exceptional players. And pivot to the positives that you have on your roster. And I think that's where Cam Reddish has kind of gotten short-sighted. I think he can really blossom in the Trailblazers. You have said it best. Like, Damian Lillard's not a jealous type of guy. He's not like a stay away from me type of guy. No, he's like, hey, come on my umbrella. Let me teach you a few things. I think it's a perfect spot for him to get right. Chauncey Billups is a very well-liked coach. The guys like him in the locker room a lot. And I think this could be a really good restart with him. I liked the trade. I actually really like Josh Hart too. So I was kind of upset to see him go and leave the Trailblazers. And I do a producer pod that's a Trailblazers pod. From what I've heard, Josh Hart is the most liked guy in the locker room. So that was also surprising to me. I'm like, it's kind of weird that you shipped off the most liked guy. But at the same time, I think Cam Reddish is going to get, like Simmons may get a good restart. And I mean, that's a really a lot of young guards in that team. Shaedon Sharp's there too. And that I was not big on Sharp because I was like, there's not a lot of film on him, but Sharp's becoming a pretty damn good ball player and expect him in a year to take another big step.
Cool, man. I appreciate you joining Mario. I want him to be a regular. I texted him right while we're doing this, like, you want to jump on? And he was nice to do it. Surprised though, wanted to give him a little something there, but
I thought we were
he had no idea.
I did not know what was happening. Another screen popped up. I saw the background. I was like, oh, okay, this background looks familiar. Okay, this is Bolt City. I know exactly what's going on. I thought I was getting ambushed. I thought you guys were just going to start smearing Kyrie everywhere. I didn't know what was going on.
No. But yeah, we love Mario and happy he joined us. So appreciate you, Mario. Appreciate you, Zoe. And see you guys next time. Thank you.
Oh, one more thing. Like, comment, subscribe. We do have JP25 Media gear that is out there. Thank you guys for joining us. Josh, you can do your outro. I apologize for cutting you off.
You're good, bro. Yeah, we have JP25 Media still out there. Our gear still out there. If you guys want some, Mario's actually was shipped today all the way to Indiana. So we got it everywhere. And I appreciate you guys. And we can do NBA talk anytime. We love it. All right.
Mavs in 6.